In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common questions that are asked in HR interviews at Tata Consultancy Services. So let's start with a first question that is extremely likely to come up, which is some question around what can you tell me about Tata Consultancy Services? Even if they don't ask this question directly, you're going to have various points throughout the interview where you're going to try and show off your knowledge. And the way to approach knowledge of the company-based questions is with a simple approach. And as you go out on this diagram, your answer gets better. So you have to start by mentioning the things that basically everybody knows about the company. Then, to be more impressive, you want to start talking about things that only some people would know about the company. And to really stand out and be amazing, you have to go a step beyond and talk about some things that only very few people actually know about the company. So some great things to talk about to sort of introduce your knowledge of the company is talk about the various divisions that they've got and the breakdown between those divisions that will, of course, change over time. You want to talk about what their expansion plans are and reel off a few of their largest clients. Their primary business is, of course, around application development. So you want to talk about, what that entails and how you can fit into that. You can also talk about their rivalry with Infosys, and they're very proud of their innovation labs where they back innovative companies and take an equity stake in those. And of course, everyone knows that it's part of the Tata Group. Now, to go one step further, you can talk about their history. So go back to 1968 and look at how the company evolved over time and how it's grown and innovated and led on technological developments. And then to really, really stand out, there's a few fantastic things you can do that really make you stand out. The first thing is research a major project that the company's done. So look at Tata's customers and try and pinpoint one project that you really understand and you find really interesting, and prepare a kind of mini case study on that one so you can talk at length in the interview about one project and how that explains exactly what the company does, and use that as an example and link your skills in with that project so you can achieve two things at once. And my top tip for success on knowledge questions and showing off your knowledge is you can read the company's annual report, and it's dual listed on the exchanges in America. So they'll file what's called Form 10K, which means you can read an amazing amount of information about the company. So let's move on and look at the second question that's very likely to come up is a question around your strengths and weaknesses. And it's always good to prepare one strength and one weakness for every interview. And the key for a successful strength is that it has to be absolutely relevant to the job. You have to supply evidence to back it up. It's one thing to say, I think this is a strength, and it's much stronger to say, I think this is a strength, but I have evidence and other people also agree that this is a strength. But most importantly, make sure that your strength is absolutely essential to the job and really emphasize how it is related. So a great way to structure your answer to the strengths question is with the point, evidence, explain framework. So start with your point, which is your strength. For example, outstanding programming skills. That's super important for a job at Tata Consultancy. So start with something like programming skills that is super key. Then evidence it. So show that you've done a project with programming, or that you've produced something that is genuinely outstanding. And if you're saying that you've got outstanding programming skills, you want to back that up with strong grades or perhaps a reference. So always look at evidencing everything. Bring some evidence to your interview. That's really powerful. And then explain is the key thing that you use to sell yourself. You're saying, this is what I'm strong at, and this is how it makes your business better. This is how it makes me amazing at helping your company. So if your skills are in a certain programming language and there's major contracts in that programming language, mention that. Really show how you can contribute to the business. And that really goes a long way. So we'll look at the weaknesses, and this is a dangerous question. You can really mess up your interview if you do this wrong. So here's the tips that you need. Firstly, start with an actual weakness. Don't say, I am such a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect all the time. That's really a bit of a, fake weakness that you're trying to, get away with giving as your answer. So you're not really answering it, and it comes across as very not genuine and undermines your credibility. So start with something that is a genuine weakness, that there is a little bit of a problem with. But you have to make the point that you're doing something about your weakness and you're actually improving. And most importantly, make sure it's not something that's important for the job. If you say a weakness that's actually important for the job, like I hate working with computers, you're just going to lose the whole interview. And there's a basic structure that does really well on this question. So the first thing you say is a weakness that I am aware of. The word aware is so important in your answer. You're showing that I actually understand that this is a weakness rather than just, oh, I'm terrible at this. It's a much better way of saying I'm aware of this weakness. Next step is to overcome this weakness. I am, and then list off some of the things that you're doing and some of the things that you're hoping to do in the future to overcome it. And then you can say, I'd like to collaborate with Tata. So for example, if you've studied the training program and they've got, say, a course on communication skills or something else that addresses your weakness, you're going to say that you're going to take responsibility for your learning and that that's one area that you're really looking forward to working on. So let's move on to why should Tata employ you? And there's a lot of variations on this question, but this is basically an open-ended question that says, right, sell yourself to me. And you can use some of the elements of this in the tell me about yourself question. And there is really three things that you want to show off. You want to show that you can help achieve the business's goals, that you can use your skills to help the business go forward. How are you going to contribute to the projects? And if you've studied a project and you can use that as an example, you can slot yourself right into that project. And it's a really strong example. You ought to show that you've got, some future potential, that you're a lifelong learner, and that you're constantly developing. You ought to show some leadership skills as well, because that's really key to your future. So if you can be someone who could be a future leader, that stands out a lot in an interview. But most importantly, for the vast majority of jobs, you really have to show off your exceptional technical skills, because that is so important for the jobs at Tata. You're going to be spending the majority of your time in a technical role. So you've got to really show that you're outstanding on that. And again, evidence everything. The more evidence you've got, the more believable you are. So let's move on to question 4. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And this question can be answered badly, but it can be answered really well if you do some simple things. So you can start by talking about moving with the business. So you're going to link yourself very strongly to the business. So what are you going to do now that's going to help you contribute to the business in the future? You can also talk about what the company can offer, what leadership pathways they have within the company, where other graduates have been in 5 years' time is a really good thing to study. And you can speak to people who work in the company and understand what they did in order to succeed in the company. And you can also talk about what one level above you is and what you need to do in order to achieve at that level. So you're always talking about how you're improving, how you're becoming better, and how that's going to support your career and your development. And to avoid doing a bad answer, these are the things you've got to do. Do not assume a promotion automatically. Don't say, in 5 years' time, I want to be a senior engineer, because that just assumes you're automatically getting promoted. You say, I'm looking to be working towards becoming a senior engineer in 5 years' time. That's my goal. In order to be able to achieve this, I need to complete these courses. I want to learn this. I want to do, various projects in different business areas. Really talk about all the things you want to do to achieve it. Don't just say, I want to do this or I'm going to do this. You're not talking about any collaboration with Tata. You're not talking about, how you can work with the company, rotating through different projects, what you're going to learn while you're there. Because, if you're trying to sell yourself and sell why you should be joining the company, it's two-way. You want to be working with the company. And the absolute worst thing is to talk about leaving the company. Because if you do that, you're just creating a problem for the person interviewing you. They know you're not serious and you're probably going to lose the entire interview. So never mention doing anything other than working for the company. And let's finish up with question 5. Do you have any questions for me? So I've given you a couple of examples of some questions that I would recommend you reword for your own purposes and to suit what you actually want to know. The key thing is when you're asking questions, you want to seem genuinely interested in the answers. You don't want to just be asking questions because you're expected to ask questions. And this is also a little sneaky opportunity to show off your company knowledge. So every question you ask, you want to link to something you found out about the company. And that's really powerful. And ideally, you should have more questions than the interviewer has time for, because that makes you seem really eager and really interested. So you ideally want the interviewer to say, okay, we're going to have to stop it there. And you be like, I've still got some questions. And it just sort of tails off there, because that shows the enthusiasm and the curiosity and that you've done loads of research. So hopefully this has been really helpful to you, and best of luck with your interview at Tata. Thank you very much for watching.